It's that time again, baby. Oh, yeah. Horavabasate. Ye hikaru sanati. Haruaseya narueya. Haruaseya nareya. We're finally getting a cardinal in the background. I don't know if you can hear him. There he goes. He's a new visitor. He hasn't been speaking up lately. I often wonder why that is, right? In fact, that's the problem with our whole cancel culture mentality these days. Is people get used to, certain voices, so that when they hear something different, half of the time, or I should say most of the time, just because it's different, they reject it. And they're really rejecting it because they don't understand it. And when they don't understand it, they fear it, because their comfort is in their insular, shared knowledge of what is identifiable. So as soon as a different voice is heard, people often assume there's something suspicious about it. When in reality, Jesus was crucified because his voice was so uncommon. And so I believe that his challenge to us is to be not only slow to speak, but slow to judge. Because he does say, make a right judgment. And so by being slow to judge, you give yourself an opportunity to hear a new voice and to consider it. And more often than not, if you learn to do that as a discipline, you'll learn that what you feared and didn't understand, you now can add to your own construct of what is useful information, and you've now become a greater source for the world because you're coming from a place drawing from more sources. Now, some people would think, oh, well, that's not right, because only God can be our source. Only Jesus can be our source. True. But just by saying that doesn't make it so, because every person has their own interpretation of who God and Jesus is. So all you Bible worshipers out there who claim that the Bible doesn't have any errors in it, You're not doing God or Jesus any service by rejecting a voice that God actually wants you to acknowledge. Now, it could be that you don't add anything that they're saying to your own list of verifiable pieces of information, so to speak. But every person should be given the opportunity to be heard. And so this whole cancel culture idea is clearly just a sign of extreme ignorance. Because we owe that to each other. We're all living, we're all trying to learn, we're all in a position to grow. But cancel culture, by definition, is refusing to grow. And when you're refusing to grow, you are a sign of death. Because growth, also by definition, is life. Oh yeah, baby. And as you're learning to grow, and we want to be signs of life for each other, I would encourage you to discipline yourself so that when you see yourself making a judgment, hesitate and think about what it is you're doing, and then stop yourself from judging, and instead hold up what that person is representing to God in an attitude of, is this something for me? Or if you're certain it's something that's not positive, then instead of just hating it and judging that person, thank God for the opportunity to breathe life in their direction, so they can be brought to the knowledge of the error of their ways. And by disciplining yourself to do that every time you notice yourself judging, and instead you embrace the situation as an opportunity for prayer and releasing God's presence and purpose for them, then in that way you can come close to what Paul was saying when he said, pray without ceasing. Because we can't really pray without ceasing, right? It's really impossible. In other words, as I'm speaking to you, I can be continuing this connection with God to pray, yes, and in that sense I can discipline myself to keep a prayerful undercurrent going while I'm speaking to you. But in other situations, whatever it is in your life, you're giving your attention to something, you might not be in a prayerful space, but as often as you can, I believe that's what Paul is after, is like fill your life with prayer as much as possible. And just recently, the Lord is showing me that instead of being disgusted by what you might see or judging what you're seeing, use that as an opportunity to hold that situation and or person and or people in prayer, so that God's better wisdom, better way, complete love and beauty can be received, and release it for them with the mercy of God. Oh yeah, baby, just like that.